All right, welcome to the channel, or welcome back to the channel. My name is Rachel Kennedy and you are watching Living the Denver Boulder Lifestyle. Today, I'm going to be digging into what I'm calling the beginner's guide to moving to Denver. All right, let's get started. All right, so before we dig into the beginner's guide to moving to Denver, I would love it if you would hit that subscribe and notification button that is popping up on your screen below so you get notified every time I put new videos out, which is every Thursday afternoon. All right, so how did I come up with this beginner's guide to moving to Denver? I actually went and asked all of my clients who had moved here in the last year what they wish they knew before moving here that they didn't. And so this list is compiled of all their answers and the 8 things that they wish they knew. All right, the number one thing that my clients wish they knew is how big Denver is. Now, I'm not talking necessarily population, but the amount of geographical area or land area that the city of Denver covers. Now, the city itself is obviously downtown itself is in the center, but when we come out and we encompass all of the outlying suburbs and cities, Denver is really, really big. You could be in the easternmost suburb of Denver, which is going to be Aurora, and travel to the westernmost suburb of Denver, which is going to be Boulder. And it could very easily take you an hour to an hour and a half if you hit traffic. So these are things that you want to consider as you are picking where you land here in the Denver area. One of the things that I love to have my clients do before they move out here and before we hit the streets and start looking at properties is come up with a wish list of things that they want their neighborhood to entail. So for instance, my buyer client who wants walkability, wants a gym within 5 minutes, doesn't want to have to drive to go to the grocery store, and wants really good restaurants down the street. That buyer is very, very different from the buyer who maybe wants a little bit more land. They want to be able to park their RV in their driveway, and they want really good schools. So second step after you make that wish list is consulting with a professional who knows the market out here very, very well and knows those different areas to focus on. So my buyer client, if they want the walkability, I'm not taking them to Parker, I'm not taking them to Highlands Ranch, I'm not taking them to the suburbs. We're focusing in on the different areas of town that I know that they can achieve walkability within their price range. So come up with that wish list and then consult with a pro on where they would suggest you focus your search. All right, and the number 2 thing is that we have 3 main business hubs here in the Denver area. Now, a business hub is going to be where a lot of the companies are located, whether it be a headquarter or just an office. So these are going to be areas that if you are working away from the home, there's a high likelihood that this is where you're going to be commuting. So we have 3. We have the first one is going to be the Denver Tech Center, and that's going to be our southernmost business hub, and that's located in Greenwood Village. So Greenwood Village is about a half an hour drive to the south down I-25 from downtown Denver. Our second business hub is in downtown Denver's business district. Now in downtown Denver's business district, this is going to look very similar to all of the other downtown area working conditions, being that you're likely going to have to pay a pretty penny for parking. You might want to consider taking public transit into the office to avoid the parking and the driving through the city. Now, the cool part about downtown Denver is that the business district itself kind of like shutters at the end of the business day, but you do have a lot of things going on around downtown Denver. For instance, the Rockies Stadium, the Nuggets Arena, as well as the Broncos Stadium are all centered right around downtown Denver. So if you want to catch a game, go see a show after work, those are all focused right in downtown Denver. Our third business hub is located in Broomfield and is called Interlochen. Interlochen tends to attract a lot of tech companies as well as aerospace. So if you're in either of those industries, Interlochen may be where you're going to land. Interlochen is great because it is located directly in between the city of Boulder and the city of Denver. So because Denver is so vast, if you are working in one of these business hubs, I would or regardless of where you're working. I recommend that you're choosing an area to live close to where you are working so that you are not committing yourself to a really long commute through the city. For instance, if you're living in Castle Rock and you work in downtown Denver, I promise you, you are going to start to hate that commute. However, if you're living in Castle Rock and you are working in the tech center, that's not as bad of a commute. So just keep that in mind as you're choosing where to land. All right, and the third thing on the list is public transit. So we have a couple different options when it comes to public transit. We have our light rail system that runs from the north side of the city all the way to the south side of the city, and then also connects the west side to the city center and the city center to the airport. I know that's probably too much information, but I want you to understand that our light rail system does cover a lot of ground and can get you from one end of the city all the way to the other end of the city. One thing to know about the light rail system, however, is that it's pretty slow. It runs above ground. So a lot of times if your driving commute is a 20 to 30 minute commute, taking the light rail may take you 45 minutes. So keep in mind that our public transit system does exist. It's just a little bit slower and you kind of have to trade convenience for time or time for convenience. The other option is our RTD bus system. It's a really efficient bus system. My favorite part about the bus system is that we have a commuter bus that connects the city of Boulder to the city of Denver. A lot of commuters who either live in one city but work in the other will take the Mile High Flyer from work to home, or I often see a lot of times business travelers taking the Mile High Flyer from Boulder all the way out to the airport. So if you travel a lot for business, or if you are living along that 36 corridor, the Mile High Flyer might be your solution. All right, so Denver is a really big sports city. We love our sports out here. We have a major sports team for almost every single sport. We have basketball all the way to lacrosse and soccer. As I mentioned before, the Broncos Stadium, the Rockies Stadium, and the Nuggets/Avalanche Arena are all right around downtown. So if you are a huge sports fan and you know you're going to be going to a lot of games, you might want to place downtown. And if you're not a big sports fan like myself, you might want to pick at least one that you're semi-interested in, because I guarantee you will get invites to game days, sporting events, and Denver just loves their sports. All right, the number 5 thing on our beginner's guide is that people love to be outdoors here. I've talked about this before, how much Coloradans love to be outdoors, and it's probably one of the things that's actually drawing you to moving to Colorado itself. So we have the full array of outdoor events, whether it be hiking, rock climbing, camping, fly fishing, the whole shebang. You can do it here in Colorado. So a lot of times people will flee the city on Thursday, Friday, Saturday afternoon to get themselves up to the mountains. What does that mean? That means that I-70 is very often clogged to get yourself out of the city. So I-70 is the highway that runs from all the way through Denver up into the mountains. It's one of the only routes to get yourself into the mountains. And again, it's often clogged. So a lot of times during ski season, skiers will have to leave at like 4 or 5 in the morning to beat traffic. And sometimes that's not even guaranteed. So if you're out here for the outdoor sports, keep in mind that it's a very, very popular thing among both tourists and residents, and you'll have some competition. You'll have to plan accordingly. And if outdoor activities are not for you, fear not, because there are plenty of people within the city who aren't necessarily out here for the outdoor activities, and those people tend to be the ones at the Rockies game on the weekend or enjoying the plethora of breweries that we have within the city. The amount of breweries that we have in Denver is actually the next thing on the list. We have a ton of breweries. I think we have the highest amount of breweries per capita in the entire nation. Last I looked, we had over 150 breweries just in Denver itself. So there is no shortage of places that you can go and enjoy a craft beer and hang out with your dog on the patio. All right, and the number 7 thing on the list that my clients relayed to me was that they wish that they had considered an area just outside of the city limits. So we have a ton of different cities around the city and county of Denver. And a lot of times you will be able to get more house for your money if you choose to go just outside of the city limits. So maybe instead of being in Denver proper, maybe you consider a 20-minute commute, which will achieve you more house for your money. I have some really, really great examples. If you go back and watch the videos of what does X amount buy you in X city, I have a few of them for Erie, Lakewood, Boulder. That'll give you a really good picture of what a certain dollar amount buys you in these different areas. For instance, $1 million in Erie is going to buy you a ton more house than $1 million in Boulder will. So some of the areas that I would recommend considering is Castle Rock to the south, Erie and Superior to the north. Those are going to be closer to Boulder. And then also a few cities that are a little bit further out from the city and county of Denver is Loveland and Fort Collins, which are to the north, and they're about an hour away from the city of Denver. And then Colorado Springs to the south, which is again about an hour from the city of Denver. So if you don't have to be in Denver, but you want to be here in Colorado, I would highly recommend considering one of these other cities to see if it's a good fit for you. All right, and the number 8 thing on our list, the last thing on our beginner's guide to Denver, is the snow. So over the years, I've had people give me 2 completely different pictures of what they think the snow situation here is in Colorado. I've had people describe to me Alaska. I've also had people describe to me a climate closer to Arizona. So the truth of the matter is that Colorado actually has both, but here in the city of Denver, we actually have a pretty mild snow season. It does last a long time. We can get snow from October all the way into May. However, the cool part is that we get so much sun here that oftentimes after a snowstorm, give it 1 to 2 days and it's all melted. So both the Alaska climate and the Arizona climate are incorrect. I would say we have a very Colorado climate in that we get our fair share of snow, which dusts our ski resorts, but here in the city, we really don't fight with the snow too much. All right, so that's it for my beginner's guide to moving to the Denver area. I hope this was helpful. If I missed anything or if you want to see more detail on anything, please comment below. I would love to hear from you.